Yeah.
Hey guys, we're actually live.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Hi. Say hi to everybody. So hi everyone, and welcome to the 100 panel. I'm Hillary, and I'm going to be moderating this fantastic panel with these amazing women who are with me here. So I'm going to do a quick sort of introduction and introduce each of you, and feel free to say hi, give a little wave, do whatever you want, and then we'll go right into a little icebreaker. So first we have Tasya, who plays the fierce Echo.
Fierce. Can I do a dance move? No, that's a dance move in case you were.
It's a really good one.
I like it. We're going to start having music come back in so we can dance. Next we have Rhiannon, who plays the ruthless Antari.
Ruthless, love that. This is me and Cash. He'll be joining us as well.
Next we have Chelsey, who plays the courageous Harper.
Hey.
These are good words.
Yeah, courageous is gonna feel like a Care Bear.
That's really special.
Yeah.
And last but certainly not least, we have Jessica, who plays the compassionate Nyla.
Oh,
that's nice.
I like that.
So
Yeah,
a little bit more than just like, here's the character name.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, those were thoughtful.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now I personally like to break the ice a little bit before like diving headfirst in the questions. So we're gonna do a little this or that food edition.
Oh,
okay. So I'm gonna do 2 items, and you guys have to pick one like quickly. Okay, it's kind of be a little bit of speed round, but not like too speedy. If you want to.
And we all just say it at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll pick up
good
competition.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
All right, ready? Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Pizza.
I like pizza. Cupcakes or cookies?
Pizza.
Cupcakes.
Cookies.
What's your favorite kind of cookie?
Chocolate chip.
Oh.
What's a question?
Oh, favorite kind of cookie.
Chocolate chip is really your favorite? Jess, chocolate chip is your favorite?
Hey, Chad.
Yeah. What's yours?
Yeah, I feel like you Harmons have like kind of like Dickie's not really desserty either. You'd probably say the
We're
same
not
thing.
desserty people.
Yeah.
I'd rather like
he likes
nice
that bishop's cake
camembert.
thing, and that's it. Yeah. Sure.
Like I'm the cheese plate person at the dessert.
Yeah, I mean, hello, you're the same.
I'm all the dessert person.
Yeah, Taz is big desserts.
Okay.
Me too. I love desserts.
Yeah.
Okay, for dessert people, how about ice cream or froyo?
Or what?
Oh, ice cream.
Froyo?
That's a lie if someone says froyo.
Oh, froyo. Froyo.
That's good.
Back that up.
100% froyo.
Mexican food or Chinese?
I don't like ice cream.
Yeah, dessert. Pardon?
Oh, Mexican food or Chinese food?
Mexican.
Oh, that's tough. It depends on the mood. Yeah, they're both awesome.
But if you could only ever have one for the rest of your life.
You're making it tough.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Eat in or eat out?
And
yeah,
like right now in.
Yeah, now in.
Yeah, same and always.
I like dinner parties. I do. But I also love going out to restaurants. So
well, the thing is, you throw dinner parties at restaurants. You're so swanky. So
that's true. She does.
Combo.
Cook at a restaurant. Love it.
Does.
That's awesome. All right, savory or sweet?
Savory.
Sweet.
Savory.
Sweet.
Did she answer? I don't know. She's still thinking
Me,
about
savory.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Nutella or peanut butter?
Sorry, Nutella.
Peanut butter.
None of it.
Chunky, all natural.
You have to.
But I mean, if I had to pick one for the rest of my life, I'd probably go with peanut butter because it's more versatile.
Oh.
Isn't your favorite thing in the world Nutella?
Yeah, you're like a Nutella queen.
But
I thought it was like
But I don't know how to answer.
No, you're being ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing to say.
Like the time that
I've never seen
everybody has
Nutella.
called you out on it. Yeah, peanut butter. What?
Like the time that we were in Paris and I came down to Tasya sitting alone at the breakfast table at the hotel with like 40 single packs of Nutella all opened and stacked.
Do you think we don't know you? And also, I'm sure there are so many fans watching this going, she's lying. We all know.
I like to all the
peanut butter. What a fucking stitch up.
All the receipts are happening. Oh, and we lost. There we go.
She's back.
Okay, so then I should have ended on that one, and I'm going to. We won't even go for the couple.
That was so fun. That was really fun. Thank you.
Great. Okay, awesome. So we're gonna get into it. We got a couple single questions, putting you guys on the spot, and a couple group questions too. So first, now these are some strong female characters. That's like the easiest way to put for all these women. So I wanted to ask you what you like most about them and what you personally really connected with. So Jessica, let's start with you.
Well, I mean, I think you kind of, with your intro, like the compassionate thing kind of stuck with me there. It was something that I didn't really realize or resonate with the character off the top until we actually started doing, or so I started doing fan conventions. And then people would constantly come up and say, I love how, Nyla is this really loving, compassionate, caring person who is very loyal and, trusting. And it was something that had been built into the character, but not to the extent that people had seen it and like mirrored it in their own lives. So it was that kind of threw me a bit where I was like, oh yeah, no, I guess she is. And that kind of led the way for me to start playing that more. And the writers kind of, we discussed that and we kind of leaned into that, largely due to the fact that the fans had perceived her in that manner. So yeah, with her, there's that just really loyal, compassionate thing that Nyla had that I find attractive, because I'm a loyal person, but I'm not always the most compassionate. Depends on who you are. She's better than I am. So that was always a trait of the character that I was like, I should try to be a little bit more like she is, because she has that in spades, which is cool.
I think all of us, and I'm not trying to say you're wrong, I think all of us would disagree with you. I think you are very compassionate. Yeah. Hello?
Thank you.
I think that's what the fans were seeing in Nyla. I think they're just seeing you.
Literally, my mug says, "Here's the thing, fuck everyone."
I love that mug.
My God, you're right.
What to follow up on that? It's so very true. Like Jess, you do you have such a presence in your own right, so that even if you didn't realize in the character it was coming through from you, and that's what they were seeing. You do have those traits.
Well, thanks, man.
And then just like heavily band-aided with amazing sarcasm sometimes.
yeah, a protective shield of sarcasm.
Chelsey, what about you?
Oh shit, I'm on next. Her level of empathy. I mean, Harper and Monty gave up their lives to save the entire human race, and that's something that I really admire and have always identified with, a level of empathy and being able to put myself in someone else's shoes and really do what's better for others in some moments when I shouldn't. Yeah, I don't know that. So that's something that I admire about Harper and something that I identify with.
That's awesome. Tasya? Totally gonna put you on the spot.
Her murderous villain quality is probably what resonates the most. No, I think with Echo, she's definitely someone who's very resilient. She's not saying that I'm resilient, but she is persistent. And when she does want something, she does go after it with her full attention. When I can finally figure out what I want to go after, or like what I'm trying to accomplish, I do have that same focus. But I'm so indecisive that I'm just, kind of trying this out and trying that out. And like, it takes me a bit of time to figure out what I want to spend my time focusing on. But definitely like the determination that she has is something that I can identify with.
It would help if I was not muted so I could keep talking.
So I was like, there was like a long dramatic pause after. I'm like,
you guys just really resonated. I needed a second to come back to that. And then now we have another guest with a puppy.
Oh yeah, Fergus wanted to come. This is my farm.
So what about you?
Here. There's another one here too. For me, I have always said that I do feel that I'm very loyal. And I think that Antari absolutely was. She was loyal to things that wasn't right. But I believe that I have that in common with her.
I wonder if that's like an Asgeta quality, like that they just bred this culture of like fierce loyalty with all of because
I think it absolutely had to be. That's a really valid point.
Something that Echo shares with Ontari.
Yeah,
You
fucking
share
ride or die.
Richard with Ontari too, Rhiannon.
Excuse me?
There's that.
Oh, I should have said that. That's so good.
That is
Yeah.
that is the commonality between your character and you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so you guys kind of talk again, adds to their complexity, right, as characters. So speaking of that, you know, some of you had to learn a completely new language, and that I know is just learning a new language is difficult, especially since it's made up. So for
It was
those
all
of
of us, yeah, I think.
Yeah?
Not really.
I was
Not
like, yeah,
you
I was like,
much.
really.
You didn't have any?
Chelsey?
No, minimal. I
Yeah,
mostly just
fair.
got to sit back and watch Jessica try to spew it out.
So what
That
was
would
the
really
process?
be there those
Yeah.
days.
What was that process of learning the dialogue, and then also how to do that in a scene? Because, you know, if you guys are having to learn it but not, I don't know if you guys like knew what the other person was saying, how was that acting kind of like, well, I know what my line is?
Yeah, that's actually a good explanation of kind of what was happening. I mean, that's a certainly individual answers you're going to get for that. It's like anything acting related. Everyone has their own method of memorizing and stuff. For me, I know it was kind of rhyming things. Like I would write it out. They would send it to you phonetically as well. But if they hadn't done that yet, I would kind of write out the dialogue phonetically. So I would try to fit, and I would kind of space it in between and memorize it like photographically. So if it would be like, if I was saying, you know, day faceness, like the faceness, but I would be like day and then face, and then I literally things like the Loch Ness, and I'm like, but minus the lock. Like you're like really weird.
You have to make it personal on some level.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just saying letters.
Totally. It was like the Michael Scott method of memorizing people's names. You're just like, that didn't make any sense. They're like totally ass backwards. So for me, it would kind of be like that, and I'd see it in my head, but I know everyone was different. It was really just time. Like you needed as much time as possible, and you needed to run it every day and like every other, you know, hour to really get it locked in there. But yeah, in terms of knowing what someone else was saying, no, I would assume that no one knew. Like you just wait until the other person started talking, and then they're stopped.
My turn.
And be like,
I go now.
Now I go. Like,
yeah.
Or sometimes you have to like freestyle. You know, like
I
remember,
know
like,
some people would make some of it up.
Yeah, I kept on dropping this one line when I was like it was like this big scene. We were on horses, 300 extra.
This was the one with Zach, right?
What?
This is with Zach, yeah?
Yeah. And there's just a huge camera like here from this crane, and I just didn't know what to like. I would just lose it halfway through, and I like on my face, I would just be like, and I would just kind of like create that. And he was sitting there on his horse. He was going like, "Oh, really?" Because he wasn't on camera, so he was just like smiling and laughing at me, and I was like trying to stay in it and make up these weird words, and it would just never. Yeah.
Well, back to what Jessica was saying, when you kind of see or hear other terms that you know in it, like from the outside point of view, yes, when you're trying to listen to this, but all you keep hearing is like pot sticker or something that's like an actual word, but they're trying to be so
But
violent.
they send us these like, this is what we get when we have
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they wouldn't have seen that. That's cool.
Oh, so they send you the dialogue.
Which in theory, of course it does. It super helps.
Yeah, and so you just like listen to it over and over again, and then you try like to work, you know, the emphasis into the scene, I think, so that it fits with the energy of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And some actors at the end, last result, would have the other actor hold up like a piece of paper with it written on it, so they'd be like looking at them, like saying it
very
intently.
Really
looking at the.
Oh, they did. I never saw that.
I won't say who, but it happened.
Marie,
you know, it's if you have a ton of it and you have a shit ton of other dialogue other than that. That's really hard. And if you're having to be
That's
on
hard.
set, like, you know, some of the like the lead actors who had stuff all the time, it's not an easy
It's
thing
not
to
easy.
to memorize. And if you don't have the time to do it, then yeah, we
And
find
although I
tricks.
think for sure, I think you have to. And I think although we all would have learned it differently, I would care to say a common, like what we would have in common is that it is the first thing to go. Like it is the first thing that you are going to drop on it. It is easily. It's so easy to get to know it so well, and then to get there on the day, and it just falls. It falls
then
out.
on the day you lose it.
Yeah, it'll
You
just
spend
be.
so
It was
actually,
there. It was there.
with
it's fun.
Richard, we had this one where there's a full complicated scene before, and then I enter the room and we have to cross by each other, and he has to throw out this one line in Trig, and every time we'd pass, he would go "La, la, 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 ah!" and he could never get the line. He would like he would swear.
And yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. It's not that he didn't. He knew it, but for some reason, when you get there, that other language just it goes away.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah.
Makes sense. Now, Chelsey, since they got to talk about language, let's talk about Harper for a second. So Harper was one of the delinquents sent to Earth when the story first started and had a very, very up and down complex story arc with everything that she went through. And I have to ask, so after going through everything, like, why do you think she chose not to go into cryo sleep but then decide to put Jordan into cryo sleep?
I think at least an answer personally is like, I can make decisions for myself, but when it comes to someone else's life, perhaps I couldn't have. That was her symbol of hope. Jordan was her symbol of hope for the future. It was the whole reason she wanted to preserve the future, because people that she loved could continue. But someone she loved was staying behind. And that was the sweetest thing about Monty, is he's just so caring. And Chris himself is so caring. He emailed me just today. Are you guys doing this thing for SDC?
Cute.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's like, let's do it together. He's just so caring and so sweet. And that's what really, like, just like Jessica's characteristics came through her character, the same with, I think, Chris and Monty. And Monty was selfless and wanted to stay awake so others could sleep and survive. And Harper really admired that and loved that. And I really admire that she chose that she chose love. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think that's why a lot of people, that decision was sort of impactful for a lot of people. At least what we.
I think, especially in a show like this, where there's so many violent moments and so many outcomes that are not pleasurable or palatable. It was something that it was a very bittersweet moment that had a lot of love laced around it, and I'm proud to have been part of that.
No, it's great. And Rhiannon, this was your first sci-fi role.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So
only.
Can you tell me a little about how you kind of prepared for this role? And, did you prepare for it a little bit differently since you knew it was sci-fi? Or was it just kind of, it's just another character, I'm just going to go head first into it?
Yeah. I think that with anything, you don't want to kind of force a genre into it, because then it loses the truth. Or, I mean, that probably sounds really douchey, but I think regardless of the genre, you just go in and you tell the truth, this character's truth. And if you were to try and make it sci-fi or make it a comedy or make it whatever, I think that that will not have a good result in the end, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe that's just, I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
I think
the circumstances are so fantastical sometimes that you're like, it feels, just so other earth. It just doesn't feel realistic. But if you treat it, if you don't, you have to make it as real and grounded as possible, despite
and it is such a good show. Like everybody is based in their own truth. Like, yes, characters did things that were bad and wrong, but there's nobody's really stretching. These were all real characters that were really experiencing this, and none of it was particularly far-fetched. I think it was all very believable in that very cool sci-fi space.
Yeah, and that's a great thing about genre, right? Is you can kind of hit everything all in one.
Yeah, there's so much room to play in sci-fi.
Exactly. That's a great word. So you kind of touch base on everyone dealing with their own truth. So Echo had this great redemption arc. you know, in terms of like just where she started and where she is now. So tell us, you know, can you tell us more about, like, do you prefer to play more the good side, more the bad side, more of the gray area?
I think it's more fun to play on the bad side.
Totally.
For sure. You know,
Yeah.
to explore those weird corners, dark corners of your mind and your personality, and you know, whatever you picked up through whatever society. But yeah, I mean, it definitely felt like at some point, I feel like she hasn't fully made her, like, she hasn't completed her journey. You know, she started learning about love and family and friendships, and that, you know, there was another way. She didn't have to live as a soldier or, you know, a ruthless assassin, but she's always been someone's keeper. She's always had, you know, Bellamy or Rowan or Naya, and she hasn't really operated on her own out in the world. And so I definitely still think she has some of her power to claim still, if she's still standing on 2 feet by the end of this season. But yeah, that's her journey, I think, for this year.
That's great. So we've talked a little bit, you know, briefly just about some of the different challenges of shooting the show. So, but what for you personally was the biggest challenge about taking on this role? Jessica, do you want to start? Put you on the spot.
The rain. The rain was a challenge, but that's always a challenge filming in Vancouver. I don't know. I mean, I didn't find this role to be difficult really in any sense. I really think that, you know, they did a nice job with it, but it really was fan inspired for me. Like, seeing the impact that character made on the fandom really pushed me to want to portray her in certain ways going forward, that I hadn't, to be honest, hadn't thought of and hadn't cared to think of off the top. You know, I'm gonna be completely blunt. I didn't think about the fact that her being one of our gay characters on the show, even though as a series we don't speak about that. It's a world in which that's not, you know, there's no delineation between someone's sexual preference. So it wasn't like it was ever spoken of or addressed on camera, but to have so many young people, and not just young, but a lot of young people come up and say what that role meant to them in terms of coming out to their family or finding that there was somebody that looked like them or was like them and more quiet and loyal of a character than some of the other more like, you know, like the leader characters. Like, not that she's a follower, because I think she's a leader in her own right, but she was someone that was there to kind of bring people together and support others. And there was so many people that came to me that said they saw themselves in that, and I didn't realize how important that was. It was something that I had missed. And then having heard that, it really inspired me going forward to pay a lot of attention to that and try to you know, not just make them proud, but do that character justice and bring something really beautiful to light. Not just because she was a good person, but because she was part of that community. And that meant a lot to a lot of people. So I think for me, the whole series was such an interesting, you know, it spanned 5 years of my life. And so it was, and I think all of us had our own, you know, ups and downs and journeys that we went on through that. But the inspiration that came from so many fans, especially in the LGBTQ community, I think it put us in touch with that community more than any of us may have been before this, and really kind of opened our eyes and opened that door for those discussions and to push for that further in film going forward, but having better representation and, you know, no tropes and stuff like that. And it really, you know, we've all made mistakes in the past, but to learn from that, that was a huge thing, I think, for a lot of us in this.
I think what's so cool, and we've been so lucky, is that the fans of the show have been so willing to educate us. Like, if you go to a convention and you ask a question about, like, they've made such a safe space for us to be like, how can we represent? Like, they have always been so on, it was like a team effort, I think, in the representation aspect of it. I've always been so grateful for how willing they are to share something so deeply personal which ultimately helps us as humans and then to create a show.
Beautifully put, helps us.
They're so generous.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very generous. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That's awesome. And well, you guys kind of answered my next question, what was the most powerful or most impactful story arc that you got to portray? So Jessica, you kind of already answered that. So what about you guys? Chelsey, what about you?
Yeah, sorry. The most powerful what? It was a little hard to hear. There's so much construction.
Most powerful, most impactful, like part, like the the little bit of the story part. Like, what was the most impactful for you, or most powerful?
Of playing Harper?
Yeah, like a part of one of her stories, one of her story arcs, if you will.
For me, it's identifying coming from a place of my whole life I've held depression, and there were big, deep moments where I was given space and the stage to present that and take my time with it. It wasn't rushed through. And that was very powerful and very memorable for me. Moments where Harper wanted to give up before it was with Monty and For Love. She just wanted to die. And I think that's such a powerful topic, especially on such a mainstream network, especially for so many people of a vulnerable age, perhaps, to be watching that was very powerful. And I took that with great gravitas. It meant a lot to me. That's the one that really stands out to me. And it's interesting that then the writers brought Harper through that moment of wanting to end her life at that time. And I really, while filming that, saw a younger Chelsey in Harper. So that's when Harper died, I was so devastated. It was like losing a part of myself. It was a younger part of myself I was saying goodbye to, which is so cathartic and such a really visceral, wild thing to show the world.
Yeah.
Tasya, what about you?
Wow. I mean, I find that my relationship with acting is a very spiritual one. Like, I tend to really, I love kind of pulling at strings and understanding what the character is going through on a spiritual level. Like, I've wrestled with, questions of identity with Echo, with, being a child soldier, with trust, with like so many different parts of, life that I've really had to look at. And that's been really rewarding. But the most difficult thing with Echo was when I first started, like when she first came out as like the big bad villain in season 4. I remember just being like, I don't know how to identify with her. I just feel like I'm judging her, and I don't know how to not do that, because if you're already judging your character as the actor, then you're losing. Like, you have to understand that everything is rationalized as far as your character goes. Like, they're doing these things because they have to. That's how they see it, But one of the gifts that I got was I started looking at child soldiers. I started like really spending the more time I spent going down that road. I started looking at terrorists and terrorism and why people become violent and, what desperation does to people. And it really like grew my heart by doing that. Like, I was like, wow, like Echo is a very traumatized person, and she's very socialized. And it just kind of broke my heart for all the people out there in the world that are experiencing really extreme lives, people that get kidnapped and forced into being a child soldier and stuff like that. And so it helped me just feel more connected, I guess, to what's going on in the world and to my character. But yeah.
And then you leaned into that with a charity.
Yeah. Which is a big part of like what Unslaved is about. It's about making space for each other and like humanity, really, and sticking up for one another, at the baseline. That's what it all comes down to, I think. Tolerance and acceptance,
So you guys then all, well, Rhiannon, what about you?
I think for me, it kind of goes back to what I was touching on before. It would have been something specifically that happened with my character. It would have been how much I have had the pleasure of learning and understanding the LGBTQ plus community, which I would not have been given that space had I not been on this show. It is such a effing blessing to now know on a much deeper level, and as much as I can understand that their community, which I would have known on a, you know, a base level, but this show gave us the opportunity to understand it so much deeper, which for like the rest of my life, I will always be very, very grateful to have been given that opportunity.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So then it sounds like each of you kind of like, you know, had this sort of helped kind of a stepping stone to whether it was a personal charity like you were talking about, or kind of like your own inner story, if you will. What are other things you guys will take from working on the show?
I'll take what Jess said. I'll take Dickie. I'll take the truth. That was a score.
That's
That's
awesome.
what I took. Yeah.
Chelsey?
I was just gonna say these girlfriends. Like I have, obviously Harper's been off the show for a while, but I have so many frigging hilarious lifelong memories in my brain. Like even just one off the top of my head is Tasya icing her feet after a fan con. We get to travel the world together, of course. And once again, that's thanks fully in part to the show, Jason, and the fans to be creating that space for us. And I just have these hilarious visions of Tasya in the hotel bathtub ordering buckets of ice to ice her feet, or like Rhiannon walking on stage just being hilarious with that firecracker, not knowing what way was up.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
We had some and Jess had a moment with a wrestling belt, and I just feel like we've all.
What did I miss? I'm sorry. I was so hot. I went to put a t-shirt on.
We were just talking
I
about
haven't missed anything. I'm just saying that I've had such hilarious moments with you girls, and such like images that I will never forget, truly. And it's been such a blessing, such a cool thing to be able to travel the world together and experience that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Been incredible.
Definitely a sisterhood, I think, that was born with all of us. For
Sure.
I definitely feel that way.
And I miss it. And now we're doing it online, which is fun. We got to get that.
Jessica, so I had asked them sort of what you guys had taken away from the show, whether, you know, personal level or working with charities or anything of that nature.
Yeah, I mean that the friendships there's a family. You go through something like that, and you know, filmmaking, I know it seems like a lot of fun, and honestly, it is. You're not wrong. It's like the best. But it's not. It's fun, but it's not easy. It can be very difficult for a bevy of reasons. And when you go through a show like that for as long as the show was on, you know, there's going to be ups and downs, whether that's something that's happening at work, or, you know, the difficulty of work, or your personal life bleeding into work. We've been around each other and with each other through a lot of life changes, not only in our own lives, but also with work. So it's a family, you know, whether you want it or not, it is a family. And we've been through so much, and then to be able to travel the world and to actually interact with people that love the show and have so much passion for something that we also share a passion for has been incredible. And, you know, the charities and stuff like that have come out of it. There's been multiple from several actors on the show. And, you know, we all try to do our part to help with that and with just causes in general. But I think there's been so much learning, because it's also 7 years of our lives. Like, not, you know, for me, it was 5, you know, it's a
you're a different person on that. That's so much time. Whoever you came in as is a different human at the end. That's so much time.
It's a lot of time. Yeah, it's been a very interesting ride, to say the least.
It feels like we grow up together, but like we started in the 20s or something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, so speaking of time, so we're almost in month 4 of social distancing and this pandemic. So what's been keeping you personally grounded during all of this?
My weight.
Pasta.
Yeah.
Nutella pizzas.
Not peanut butter, huh?
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, I think obviously, I was talking to someone that I'm currently working with earlier about this, and just the idea that everyone has had their own, such is life, but everyone's had their own experience with COVID and what's happened, and the difficulty. There's everyone's had their own problems, and even if you weren't directly affected by it, you weren't sick or a family member was sick. There's been a lot of other things. There's been a lot of other troubles that have come out of it for everyone. So I think, but there's also something about that, I was talking to a director of photography earlier, and she was saying she had spoken to her grandmother about it, who's about 90 years old, and the whole time has just stated what a strange thing this is, because the only thing that she finds similar to this was World War II. And because it was a global event, like we don't go through things globally all that often. We might see, oh, there's an issue there, there's something there, and we might try to fight for causes on the other side of the world, but it's very rare that we go through something that's kind of universally felt. So I think that alone, the idea of that, like the philosophy behind that, has been fascinating for me. And I think, I don't want to say that anything has been good about this, but I think one thing that we can all agree on, I hope we can all agree on, that's good, is the current Black Lives Matter movement, and the attention that is being paid to what's going on with that right now, due to the fact that a lot of people are at home and have the time to pay attention and have the time to actively support. And I've been really amazed with how many people that, every single girl sitting here, but also, some of our coworkers and stuff that have been speaking out and actively attempting to make a change and make the world a better place. So that's something that's been pretty incredible about the last 4 months, the last month, but something that's been very interesting that's happened with this.
And I feel like so friggin' long overdue. And you're saying people are at home, so therefore they can pay more attention. But also, people went through COVID together. We're seeing now we are one. We are related in so many ways, and we need to be representing each other.
Yeah.
We need to be standing up for each other. And Jessica, I just spent all of yesterday FaceTiming my mom, and she was like, because my mom knows, obviously we traveled Berlin, and she was like, Jessica is just taking such a stand. My whole family's so proud of you.
Oh,
and
thanks.
speak about you. Really, really, truly. But it's about effing time. And I truly think that is the silver lining, that is the blessing to this COVID craziness, that it was an aha moment. We have had a global aha moment on so many things. And I don't think it will stop.
I mean, it can't.
No.
Because if it goes back, like there's no way it can go back. Like there has to be progress at this point.
Yeah. And I feel like we will have people who remain, I'm sorry, but I truly feel it's archaic, and they won't perhaps keep the ball rolling, and they will die off. And then slowly we are the new world. They're truly.
That's a very different perspective. And we'll kill them off.
Not kill them.
Off the show.
But
right.
To take themes from the 100, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's
goodwill prevail.
If we make it.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. It's, it's all hands on deck right now, right? So it's we can't let it slip back, because as much as
keep your foot on the gas thing.
Yeah,
you gotta keep your foot on the fucking gas. Otherwise, it will. And it is
keep going.
We have to actively keep it going.
Who didn't feel? I asked him if he was going to one of the rallies, and he said no. And then he's like, this year has just been too. He's like, I just feel very overwhelmed by the year, and I have a lot going on. And I was like, okay, like I respect your whatever's going on for you or whatever, but interesting, like for me, towards the end of the COVID period, like I was starting to get really depressed and really affected, and I was like, what's gonna happen in the world? I'm like, is it ever gonna be the same? And like I just felt this enormous weight, and I didn't feel like doing anything. I didn't want to like get off the couch or go. I literally just sat on the couch for hours every day staring outside because I just couldn't do anything. And I was like, maybe I just need to sit in the sadness and maybe the sadness will pass. Like, you know, I was trying to do all these other things and they weren't happening. So I was like, maybe I need stillness. And when I look at this movement happening, it's like people do have that similar, like, I don't know that I want to get involved or be bothered, or I don't know how to speak about the issue, and it's uncomfortable for me. And those are all things that we need to like get over. Like we need to come together as a people and, you know, fight for human rights, because even if it's not Black Lives Matter, the BLM, maybe it's LGBTQ, maybe it's feminism, but like we have to all stand up for each other, because we can't just be like, oh, we don't care about these people not getting their, you know, human rights. And then when it is an issue that is more close to home and affects us more, we, you know, hope that people are going to support our cause. Like, I don't see it that way. I think we all, you know, need to be here together and stand up for each other and show up and continue the conversation and continue to learn and grow and all that stuff. That's what makes it exciting, an exciting time to live in, I think.
Yeah.
Like such a wild, exciting time. Look at us go.
Look at us go.
Really, just everyone. Like really, just no, but really, truly, it's just all across humanity. It's just such a powerful time.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
I remember always being fascinated with like the 70s, and I was like always asking my mom, like, what was it like going to like during all of those like human rights movements, going to the rallies? And I was just like, it seemed like such a cool era. And now we're going through it. And I was like, it's so interesting, like to be in the middle of it now and not someone who, I don't know, was looking at photos of my mom, you know, feeling this. But yeah.
So do you guys have any, you know, words of encouragement for fans who are right now having a hard time, whether it's because, you know, their, you know, mental health obviously is rough right now for some people, and, you know, depending on what they have to do, families going through. Do you guys have any words of encouragement for anyone? What would you want to say for a fan who maybe says like, look, I'm having a hard time?
May I say what has helped me?
Oh yes, sorry.
Yes, is that I feel like there is a pressure to always be present and always have something to do and always be on. And I think that sometimes that can make the anxiety worse. I know it's important to address those things, but I have learned in COVID that sometimes it is okay to check out, to put on your Nintendo Switch and go live on an island. That is okay. It is okay sometimes to be like, I want to be like, it's you don't have to all the time be fucking on. It's okay to take a break and to not be navigating all your stuff. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
That's great.
That was the biggest surprise for me in the COVID, because I was always moving so much. I was always like so much energy and like sitting. And when I started feeling low, and then I was like, I don't know how to get out of this feeling. I was like, oh, maybe I just don't have to do anything. I can just
it's okay.
sit.
Yeah. There's so much shame attached to just needing to sometimes check out. It's okay. Do it.
Yeah.
All right. You know.
Yeah, and just knowing that you're not, you know, I think that's a really good point. It's forgiving yourself almost if you're blaming and shaming yourself, taking that pressure off and knowing that you're not in any way alone. You know, I can guarantee that all four of us have felt that at some point during all of this, you know, and needed to kind of step back and go, it's okay that you didn't get out of bed today, or it's okay that you ate the entire thing of Nutella. It's okay that, you know, you've gained, like I've gained 10 to 15 pounds during all of this, just going to be blunt, you know, and there's, as an actress, you kind of go, I need to work out. And I'm like, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like doing that right now. Like, I don't feel like losing the weight. I don't feel like, I'm not sure that I feel that I need to, you know, there's going to, and that's just such a simple small part of that, but that's my own personal experience of going, just take the foot off the gas, just understand that it's okay, and if you want to change that in the future, you can, but whatever I am right now is going to be good enough, and it must be, and no one else is looking at me going, oh, what happened to you? So if you're feeling that way about yourself, just know no one else is looking at you. They're paying attention to their own shit right now.
Yeah.
You know, we're inherently selfish, which can be a good thing, because at the end of the day, it means whatever you think that, you know, the world is however you think the world is looking at you, they might not be looking at all. So don't really worry about that. But to the same sentiment, there's also, you know, there's a ton of people out there, and people are there. They're there for you. If you need help, like reach out to family and friends. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you know, there's a ton of organizations, there's numbers to call, there's people you can write to reach out and to get some help and just to gain some perspective. And sometimes it just starts with getting up and going outside and going for a walk, 5 minutes, you know, a day, add a minute a day after that, like whatever you think you can't get out of right now, you can, but just give yourself the time to figure that out. And know that you're certainly not alone in that. I think that's been a really hard thing for all of this, is it's very isolating. And I live with someone, and I still at times feel very isolated. It's just this global feeling right now of uncertainty. So you feel alone, but you're not, you know, everyone is in it together.
Yeah.
Other than those
Important to know,
idiots running
too,
around
that
not wearing masks and promoting
idiots. That's not them.
and angry about masks. Those people can fuck off.
I think it's important too to remember that what you are experiencing is valid.
Yeah.
Totally.
The world, there's so much bad stuff that exists, but it doesn't mean that you can't in that moment be like, I'm hurting, and like what Jess is saying, never feel like you can't ask for help. It is so valid what you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't feel like fighting for yourself right now, I get that feeling. Fight for someone else. You know, I think the last month has been really interesting and educational for me, just learning how nice it kind of feels, as low as I have felt in the last month, watching the horror that is currently going on, and that has been going on. At the same time, feeling like inspired to do something. And at times you feel like, what could you do? And there's a helpless sense, but just, you know, check in on someone else. Like if you're feeling that you need to be checked in upon, check in on someone else, because someone else might need that. They might need to know that you're there. And there's a lot of people that need our help and need to be fought for. So if you don't feel like doing it for yourself, go out there and find a cause. There's a lot of good ones right now, and throw your support at that, because it might give you a reason to get out of bed in the morning, and then until you can find, you know, a way to back yourself as well.
That's great advice.
We only have a few minutes left, so Chelsey, I'm going to let you have a minute to speak on some encouraging words.
I reflect all of those statements as someone who, I said earlier, I've had I hate to say mental illness, but I've had depression my entire life. Anxiety, it's something that we all can feel at times. And I think many people are learning are starting to feel, and it might be new to them. So if you need a moment to feel those, what I've learned is we know now more so than ever that we are a collective experience. So if you need to unhook yourself and unplug for a bit, we'll pick it up for you. We're here fighting the bigger fights that are going on right now. You have to take care of yourself in order to take care of anyone else. Yeah. So just truly unplug, check in with yourself, take care of yourself, and then come back in, plug back in, and let someone else have a break if they need. We're here, truly, like, we're here as the human collective. We're fighting for a better world now, and that's going to take recharging.
So exciting.
So we have 1 minute left, so I'm going to do really quick. You guys, any like next project you're working on, where can people find you on social? Do like a quick plug if you guys have stuff going on. Jessica.
I think, well, yeah, I mean, season 7 of The 100 currently airing. So watch that. And then personally, I'm directing, I'm starting a movie right now. The title's going to be changed, so I'm not even going to tell you what the current one is, because it doesn't matter. But I will be posting about it when it airs and is released in the future. So yeah, follow my social, and I will let you know.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Me? Oh.
Yep. Sorry, I like mumbled that. I apologize.
I'm just like so into Jess. I'm like, I'm so proud of you, Jess. You're the best.
Thanks, man.
I'm like, I'm currently working on my garden. That's my next project. Mostly right now, like I actually got really interested in social activism and mental health and stuff like that. So I'm finding myself, reading and studying a lot. I'm reading, I studied this course called The Science of Wellbeing on Coursera, which I highly recommend to people, which is, deals with the conversation about happiness and mental health. And I kind of want to like carve myself into that space a little bit more because I find it really fascinating. And I think there's a lot of work to be done and information to be shared on the topic. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next little while.
Great. And Rhiannon?
Hopefully, just before this started, I was supposed to go into a Hallmark movie called Remembering Love. And hopefully, once we enter into the next phase, that's what I will go into filming.
Great. And then Chelsey?
Just back to you, Tass. I really admire that, digging into that culture and educating yourself more. I love that. I just actually finished a COVID show where I have the director, DP, producer, and other actors on Zoom, and I film myself on my cell phone, and they set us up and our lighting and everything, and you submit your footage being edited together. And it's with David Anders and Prince Ford is a producer out of LA. He's got a Grammy for working with the Black Eyed Peas. I'm with a few people who just created this at home, a 22 episode, 1 minute episode show. Which is funny though, because
what's it called, Chelsey?
Flimsy, Flimsy. The thing is though, I was laughing today, I'm like, it just totally documented everything we just talked about during COVID. When I gained weight, I didn't have my hair done, I felt horrible, and unibrow was in, now
Totally.
I've documented that forever. So that's being edited right now, and just signed on to do Narco Leap Season 2 in August.
Yay.
Yeah, it'll be great. And maybe a little something when this ends with Jared Joseph, I'm finding out. So we're creating. We're all doing still.
Nice.
That's awesome. Well, great. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being with us here today.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys for joining. So everyone watching, coming up next is the Imagine Me and You watch party. So make sure to go to Twitter so you can get the link, and we'll see you all later tonight. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Guys. Thank you.